The first time the little girl said the words, they sounded almost like a joke lost in the noise of a busy afternoon. "Sir, please pretend you're my dad." The millionaire barely slowed his stride, sunlight flashing off the glass walls of the charity building behind him, reporters calling his name, assistants hovering like shadows. He smiled politely, the way powerful men do when something doesn't quite register, ready to move on. Then he noticed her hands shaking. And when she lifted the worn photograph, everything he believed about his past, his success, and his carefully protected heart began to crack. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us what it truly means to be human, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Single Dad Diaries. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Arman Halim had built his fortune by never looking back. At 42, he was known across the city as a self-made success, a man who turned a small logistics startup into a global empire. He funded hospitals, schools, and public shelters, yet he kept his personal life sealed tight, as if emotions were liabilities that could bankrupt him overnight. This afternoon, he had just announced a new daytime education initiative for underprivileged children when he felt a gentle tug on his sleeve near the entrance. He expected a reporter or a donor. Instead, he saw a small girl standing alone in the bright courtyard, her school uniform slightly oversized, her hair braided unevenly as if done in a hurry. The challenge in her eyes wasn't hunger or fear. It was urgency. She looked like someone racing against time. Around them, the day carried on loudly. Cars passed, cameras clicked, laughter echoed from volunteers. Yet the space between Arman and the girl felt unnaturally still. He almost waved her away until she lifted the photograph. It was old, creased, and sun-faded. In it was a much younger man standing beside a woman whose smile was soft and tired, holding a baby wrapped in a blue blanket. The man in the picture looked painfully familiar. Arman's laughter died before it could fully escape his chest. His confidence, polished over decades, wavered. He felt something he hadn't felt since he was a reckless 20-year-old trying to outrun his mistakes. The girl's name was revealed on the back of the photo in neat, childish handwriting. Ariba Noor. The woman was Samina Noor. And the man was him, long before the suits, the money, and the carefully crafted distance from his past. The main challenge Arman had always carried was not poverty or failure, but escape. Years ago, when his ambitions were bigger than his courage, he had walked away from a life that felt too heavy. Samina had been sick, the kind of sickness that drains hope quietly. Arman had convinced himself that success would fix everything later. Later never came. The calls stopped. The letters were never answered. And eventually, he buried the memory under achievements and donations, telling himself that some losses were unavoidable. Ariba's struggle was different. She had grown up learning strength far too early. Her mother passed away months ago, and the daytime shelter where she stayed was under review for closure. Social workers had told her she might be moved again, another name on another list. She didn't want more places. She wanted a person. The photo was all she had left of the man her mother said once loved them, even if he was afraid. When she saw his face on a billboard announcing the charity event, something inside her decided not to stay quiet anymore. The moment stretched as Arman took in the details of the photo, the sunlight reflecting off its surface like a spotlight on his regret. He felt exposed, stripped of the power that usually shielded him. He didn't know how to fix the past, but for the first time in years, he felt the need to try. He looked around and noticed people beginning to slow down, sensing something important was unfolding. He placed a hand gently over the photograph, grounding himself in the reality he had avoided for so long. As the afternoon wore on, Arman canceled the rest of his meetings. The city didn't collapse. The company didn't fall apart. Instead, he sat on a bench with Ariba under the open sky, listening to her story through expressions, gestures, and the quiet honesty only children possess. Without dramatic speeches or promises, something shifted. The challenge he faced now was not whether he could afford to help her, but whether he was brave enough to stay. Change didn't happen all at once. It came in small, deliberate steps. Armin visited the shelter during the day, unannounced, uncomfortable in spaces where he couldn't hide behind wealth. He learned about Ariba's school, her love for drawing, her fear of being forgotten. Each visit peeled away another layer of the man he thought he had to be. For the first time, success wasn't measured in numbers but in presence. Near the end of the summer, during another bright afternoon, Armin stood in the same courtyard where it all began. This time, there were no cameras, no applause. Just a man and a child walking side by side, their shadows stretching long on the pavement. The photograph now rested safely in his wallet, not as a reminder of guilt, but as a symbol of responsibility reclaimed. If this story is touching something inside you, if it's reminding you of someone you need to forgive or a step you've been afraid to take, please engage with this video. Like it, share it, and let others feel this moment too. Just before the ending, here's a special request from the heart. Comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel, or share a moment when kindness changed your life. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. As the sun dipped lower, casting warm light across the city, Armin realized that pretending had turned into becoming. He hadn't just played a role for a frightened child. He had stepped into a truth he could no longer run from. And sometimes, the most powerful transformations don't happen in boardrooms or headlines, but in simple daytime moments when someone brave enough asks for love, and someone broken enough finally says yes.